Budapest is an awesome city. However, as we made more and more videos in the past few years, we noticed that there are certain mistakes, misunderstandings, or even scams that could lead to very bad experiences for visitors of this city. So in this video, we will try to go through all of these so that when you come to Budapest, you'll be prepared and you will have an excellent experience here. So first, let's talk about one of the most common things that you may encounter, and that is overcharging restaurants and bars, or even places that may outright scam you. Particularly with bars, sometimes there will be people outside of these places who will be inviting you, sweet-talking you into going into the bars where there are cheap drinks. You can spend just a dime and live like a king, and there are girls and other sorts of fun entertainment there. But when you enter, there is no price listed, there is no menu that tells you exactly how much you will be paying for the things that you order, and in the end you will be surprised by an extremely large amount of money that you need to pay. Now luckily these places are easy to avoid. Just don't enter any bar where someone really tries to oversell it to you. And also, thanks to social media, these places easily get notorious and police are cracking down on these. However, from time to time we do hear some of these are popping up. One of the things that are more common are restaurants that overcharge tourists, particularly, like what we see spreading like wildfire behind me. These places called goulash and langos bars are becoming basically available everywhere here in the city, and they are extremely overpriced. If you go anywhere and you see langos, one of the most popular street foods that you can get here in Budapest, if you see that they are selling it for over 3,000 forints, the one which is just plain with sour cream and cheese, if that is more than 3,000 forints, then it's basically a tourist trap. Here, they're selling it as something super special for about 5,000 forints, almost double the price, which is insane. And I hope that with this video, many people will look at the menus and will say, if the price is like this, then I'm not eating here, I don't want to have any bad experience, and I don't want to overpay at these places. And if you go to restaurants and see in traditional Hungarian restaurants serving Hungarian dishes that a dish costs more than about 8,000 forints, that can be either because it's a high classy Michelin star restaurant or something like that, and yes, those are expensive, but if it's just a plain traditional Hungarian restaurant and one dish costs more than 8,000 forints, then that is a rip-off. Nothing should cost more than that, and I hope if you look at those menus, see those prices, you stand up and leave and don't get overcharged. One other thing regarding restaurants that we definitely have to talk about is a really common misunderstanding that we see in posts online, and that is that people think that they have been charged twice for the service charge. Now, we definitely don't like the whole service charge phenomenon that exists here in Budapest, but the thing about service charges, when you look at your receipts at the end of your visit to the restaurant, you will see them listed twice because of taxation reasons. They have to calculate the tax differently and separately for drinks and food, so that's why you will see service charge listed twice. It's not because they added it twice, it's just for taxation reasons. You have not been scammed in this case, so don't worry about it. Now, it's understood by almost everybody that in order to use the public transport here in Budapest, you need some sort of a ticket. But a big mistake that a lot of people make is that they just purchase the tickets and then they board but forget about one crucial step. Because the expectation is that after you board the tram, the bus or the subway, there's gonna be a conductor who comes and validates your ticket. But that's not gonna happen because we don't have conductors here in Budapest. We have inspectors, and they will inspect if you have validated your ticket, because on its own, this is not valid. You need to use the validator machines. Punch a hole, a stamp on it, and then it will become valid. If you don't do it and an inspector comes, you can be fined for up to 65 euros. Now, if you want to avoid the stress and hassle with the single tickets, your best option could be a travel pass. The difference with this one is that these are actually valid from the time of purchase, or the time you actually set up when you purchase these at the vending machines. No hassle, no need to validate this. These don't even fit into the validator machines. They will say up until what time they are valid. There are 24-hour versions, 72-hour versions, monthly passes, so they're all different kinds that you can choose from depending on how long you're staying here in Budapest. But if you don't want to spend time with papers and carrying around papers, I personally, this is actually something I copied and pasted into a printer and printed it out. This is not a real one. I have mine on the phone, and you can also use Budapest Go, the application where you can have digital tickets. But if you want to know more about it, then perhaps check out our video about the public transport system here in Budapest, where we explain more. And if you're 65 years or older, then disregard everything that I said, because for you, my dear viewers, you can travel in the public transport system for free. It is awesome. Just carry around a passport or any ID that proves your age. You're welcome. Now, the next mistake that I want to discuss is related to the Parliament building. It's gorgeous on the outside, but you can also visit with a guided tour and check out the insides. However, a lot of people make the mistake that they don't know that there is one place where you can get officially the tickets to this guided tour. There are multiple other websites that you can find online that apparently sell tickets. Even the reputable getyourguide.com also sells tickets to this. However, what really happens is most of these tour guides buy from the official website and then resell you with a higher cost, maybe add something else like a tour here around the Parliament building. But essentially, if you go inside, there's only one company that can do the guided tour, and there's only one website. So we will leave a link down in the description. You can check out the site. Although I do have to say, and we talked about this in a previous video, the system isn't very good. Sometimes it will say to you that it is sold out, and then a few days later they will release new tickets, or if you come here in the morning, there's a chance for you to get some tickets. So it's not perfect, but that is the official website. If you go to other websites where you find open slots, those will likely have a markup, sometimes even twice the price that you would pay on the official website. Now, one common question that we see popping up online all the time on social media is related to the need of cash, and if you need euros or any other currency. Well, the simple answer is that we here in Hungary use the Hungarian forint, and if you want to exchange some cash, then you should do so at official exchanges. Now, one scam that could happen is that when you're here and maybe standing in line to exchange your money, someone may approach you and tell you that this place does not have a good deal, they know a better place, go and follow them. But what will happen is they may take you to a completely different place, not even an official exchange shop. And there they might give you some money, but likely that will not be the official Hungarian forint. It could be any other currency from another country that is basically valueless. Here in Budapest, you cannot use it at all, and then you get scammed. So whenever someone comes to you, approaches you and tells you they know a better place to exchange money, never follow them, please, because that may lead to some trouble for you and you will lose a lot of money. Always check out some of these franchises which are located on the streets themselves and have proper branding. Never trust a random guy coming to you offering a better deal. Now, a common alternative to how to get some cash on you is to go to an ATM. However, this next mistake is related to this, because a lot of people will just go to the very first ATM machine that they will find on the streets, and chances are that will be a Euronet ATM. And these guys charge way more than they should. There are a lot of additional fees if you use them, so my advice is to avoid Euronet machines wherever they are and go to a bank. For example, OTP is one of our most common local banks, or there's also Erste, Raiffeisen, but many more. We will link them down in the description. So, bottom line, just avoid using Euronet.
In general, however, almost all the places in the city accept bank cards. Some public toilets or a few stalls at seasonal markets may require cash, but you can easily enjoy Budapest with just a single bank card, so there's really no need to worry about carrying a lot of cash on you.
Now, hopefully you guys find the information in this video useful so far, and if you want to support the work that we do, then you can simply do so by clicking the like button and also leaving a comment. But you can also check out some of our merch. We will have a link down in the description. Or alternatively, you can also send us some donations through the thanks button. But you can also become a member of a super awesome group of people who support the work that we do on a monthly basis, and with them we share behind the scenes information and updates to our community map, where we list some of the places that they can visit. That's how they know what are the restaurants that they should try, the places that will not scam you or overcharge you, the places that we personally recommend. So thank you so much to all of our lovely supporters, and especially thanks to our cabbage lovers. Thank you so much. And now let's get back to the video. One of the highlight features of Budapest is arguably the Danube River, and unsurprisingly, a lot of people want to go on river cruises, and we feel that that's actually a really nice thing to do. We actually have a video about a lot of different river cruises. However, there is one that we do not recommend for you to even consider taking, and that is the so-called river ride, which is sort of like a hybrid experience. It's a bus that takes you around the city a little bit, and then it also goes in to the Danube and acts as a river cruise. However, for the price that they ask, the bus ride is very short and very brief and misses a lot of the attractions here in the city, and the ride here on the Danube is also very short and very brief. So if you consider a river cruise, just make sure not to take the river ride. We don't feel that it's worth the price. Check out our video with all the other river cruises that you can find here in the city and enjoy. And on popular places like this one over here at the St. Stephen's Basilica, or at other very touristy areas, someone may approach you and ask you if you're looking for perhaps some cheap perfume or a sale on iPhone devices or any sort of things like that. You should always say no to these approaches, because we don't know where they might take you to, some dark alleys or anywhere else, and what merchandise they may try to sell you. Just always say no to any one of these approaches. Never buy anything from people off the street. There is no magic. There is no magical sale on perfumes or iPhone devices. Just say no to these. So as I mentioned before, in Budapest you barely need cash. You can easily get by just by using your bank card. However, this next mistake is related to using bank cards, because sometimes when you will use your foreign bank card here in Hungary, the terminals may ask you if you want to pay in Hungarian forint or in your home currency. Now, choosing your home currency may sound logical because it's easy to understand that that's the number you can relate to. However, there is this thing called the dynamic currency conversion, which means that this is offered to you by the merchant's bank, by the local bank here in Hungary. And this conversion does not come for free for you. So if you choose your own home currency in this situation, there is usually a markup for that conversion as a service. So choosing the local currency, the Hungarian forint, is the best way to not spend a little bit more money in this case. Always let your own bank at home do the conversion for you, not the merchant's bank. During the winter season, one of the most popular things that attracts a lot of people to Budapest are the Christmas markets. And right here in front of the Basilica is one of the most popular ones. And it is a very gorgeous thing, a very nice event with the Basilica in the background. It's a fabulous view. However, in many of our videos we do call out, but still we see a lot of people online who do not know about the extreme prices that you can expect at these Christmas markets. Like the other one at Vörösmarty Square is also very popular, but the prices are so ridiculously high, which is one of the reasons why you will barely hear any local speak there in Hungarian, maybe except for the people working behind the counters. However, there are also the problems with sometimes people getting overcharged for what they purchase. The prices would be much higher than what was originally advertised. So it's always best to ask how much you will need to pay, and also always check the terminals, because cash is non-existent on these Christmas markets. You can only pay by card, and with that you can check what's on the terminal and ask if there's any problem. If there's any more money than you were expecting there, then you can ask why is that, call that out. But we always say that these are actually really nice things to visit, even if you should not spend a lot of money on the food. And there are actually some budget hacks and recommendations that we talked about more in our previous videos that we made about the Budapest Christmas market. So perhaps after this one, go and check that out to learn more about them. Now, the next tourist trap that we want to cover is something you most commonly can experience during the warmer season, and especially here at the popular Fisherman's Bastion. It's basically a photo opportunity with certain animals, most commonly birds. Now, what happens is you approach these people, or they approach you and offer a photo with these birds. They place the bird on you, and then either they take the photo for you, or maybe your loved one takes the photo, but in the end, this is not for free. They will demand a really high price just for this photo op. And to be honest, who really wants to take pictures with birds? This doesn't really have anything to do with Hungary. If you encounter these people, sometimes they might even try to even force the pigeons on you. That's something that we see in like Váci Street. We encountered them today as well. So if this happens, try to avoid them. But if you want to take a picture with something that's local and you happen to see me on the streets, then definitely come and say hi and we can take a picture. I will do it for free for you. Next, we want to cover something that is not so common these days. However, it's still good to be aware of this scam. We encountered it a few times up there on the Gellért Hill, where you can find people sometimes who are playing the so-called shell game. Now, what is that exactly? It's the one that you can see sometimes in movies, where you have 3 cups, which are then flipped, and under one of these cups there's an object hidden, like a ball or any round object. These are then shuffled around, and in the end you can make a bet to find where that particular object has landed, and if you are lucky and you found it, then you get the money. Now, the thing is, most of the time you will see people playing this game, losing a little bit, but then winning a lot more back. And then people come to you and say, oh, this is the most easy money that you can make. This guy is so dumb, he's making us play this game and he's losing all the money. You should not miss out on this. Go and play the game. And if you do, you will get scammed. I mean, if you watched a lot of movies, you know it's one of the oldest scams out there in the world. So if you do happen to see any of these guys here in the city or up there on the Gellért Hill, make sure not to interact with them. Just leave them alone and don't care about it. But what about you? Did you experience any of these, or made some of these mistakes that we have listed, or encountered any scams or anything else that we may have not listed in this video? Do let us know in the comments, because we want to talk about these things honestly, and we want to share more so that people who come here to Budapest will never encounter any of these, will never make any of these mistakes, and hopefully everyone will enjoy their time here. Another popular attraction here in Budapest is the Grand Market Hall, which we always recommend for people to visit because the architecture is unique and interesting. Plus, you also get this market vibe where you have these fruits and vegetables and the cured meats and the sausages, and that is in general a very nice experience. However, there is a first floor where we believe the tourist trap starts, because there we will have some souvenir shops and also some food places that sell things for an extremely high price, plus the quality will be also very, very low. So if you want a food experience at a market, we would recommend to visit maybe perhaps another market, like some of the local neighborhood markets instead. We sometimes talk about these in our other videos, so maybe go and check those out if you want to know more about them. But you should still visit this place, only for how it looks like, not for the food and not for the souvenirs. Now, this next one is kind of rare, but it's still good to be aware of it in case it happens to you. And it's something that happens usually during the warmer season, when we have like places that have gardens that you can access easily from the street, or places that have terraces where you're sitting outside. And what happens is that someone comes and places a small trinket or something that kind of looks like a gift onto your table, and you think that it's a gift, it's a nice gesture, someone has left something there for you to take away as a souvenir, as a memorabilia. But the reality is that as soon as you take that item, they will come and ask money for it. And usually it's about charity. They kind of say that it's charitable thing if you pay for it, because it's something that was handcrafted by either children or by blind people or people with some disabilities. This is a gift that you can take, but you should pay for charity. But in a lot of cases, those monies actually go to like really, really bad people who run a system of these gift-giving scams, because these are essentially scams. If you buy any of these things, they will likely never even go to charity. It will never reach a person in need. So if this happens to you, just ignore the item. They will take it away if you don't take it. And this way you can also save yourself some money and also some trouble. Now, one of the most common mistakes that we even mentioned in previous videos is related to taxis, specifically to freelancer taxis. Now, who are freelancer taxis? If you look at the cabs here in Budapest, most of them will have a brand or a logo like Bolt, Uber. However, you will find ones that don't have a branding. They will just say freelancer taxis. Avoid these at all costs. It's one of the most frustrating things that you can encounter here in Budapest. If you hail a cab, jump into one that says freelancer, likely you will be scammed. How, you may ask? Well, they will definitely charge way more than you should pay. They can also tell you that you cannot pay with cards, you can only pay with cash, and then they will demand a really high amount from you. So we mentioned this in previous videos, but we still see a lot of people online, and we want to make sure that everybody knows, if you come to Budapest, never ever jump into a cab that says freelancer taxi. Try to use apps like Bolt or Uber. There you can pay virtually online without even handing out your card, and then you will not get into trouble, you will not get into hassles, so make sure never to get into a taxi that says freelancer. Now, before we close up, there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, which isn't really a mistake. It's more of like an observation from my end as I scour the social media and look at posts and questions about Budapest. I see a trend of an increasing demand of people looking for places that are not touristy, that are things that the locals do, and they want to experience the local, authentic things. And the reality is that the touristy things are touristy for a reason. Like Széchenyi thermal bath is an amazing thing, and if you come to Budapest for the first time, it's something that you should not miss, in my personal opinion. It's a part of history, it's a very beautiful place, and you should experience it. Or like the Fisherman's Bastion, there will be a lot of people there. You will barely hear locals there, but if you come here and if you want to take glorious pictures of Budapest, then you definitely should not miss going to the Fisherman's Bastion. But another thing that I also see is people are looking for authentic local cuisine and traditional foods, and the expectation is red checkered cloth tables with the gypsy music in the background, and that's the authentic Hungarian traditional restaurant. But the reality is that, and this is something that we say in a lot of our videos, that Hungarian food is something that we actually make at home. We can make most of our dishes, and if we go out, we go to a restaurant, then likely we will go to a place which is, maybe something that we cannot make at home, like an Italian place, or go to an Asian place, go to an Indian place, or anything like that. So if in the city center there's a place that caters to tourists with the red checkered cloth, the gypsy music in the background, or anything like that, we don't really go to these places. But the food can be really nice in these places, or in some more contemporary restaurants. You can get excellent Hungarian food, but perhaps, maybe, there won't be gypsy music in the background. The place won't look like your grandma's village neighborhood or anything like that, but the food will be spot on, and we locals sometimes even favor these contemporary places over these csárdas, as we call it. We do go to Csárda, which is a place where we would say that's the authentic experience, but we go there when we go to the countryside, when we are tourists here in Hungary. So all in all, I just want to say that you should not over-stress about the requirement to go and do things that no other tourist does, to stress about only getting the local, authentic experience. If you go and do a lot of these things that other tourists are also doing, that's absolutely fine. We make videos about things that are really, really popular and touristy, but also some things that, are lesser known by tourists. Maybe those will give you some ideas, and we always try to be honest about some of these things, which are the ones that we do recommend, even if they are touristy or not touristy at all. Now we hope that you guys found this video useful, and when you come to Budapest, everything will go smooth, there will be no trouble for you, and all in all, you will have a great time here. And if you want to know what you can do here in the city and also across Hungary, then perhaps check out some of our other videos. And if you don't want to miss our future content, then definitely subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in all of our future videos. Bye!